Welcome to episode 15 of Bedtime Stories for Grown-Ups, a podcast that is created from the stuff of dreams. Once upon a time, if you were lucky, someone told you bedtime stories. Maybe someone read you books, or the same favorite book over and over. Or maybe someone made up your bedtime stories, telling you nonsensical things until you closed your eyes and let sleep take you away. These bedtime stories are the whimsical, made-up kind. Little scenes from dreamland to guide you there. There is no plot to follow, no sense to make of anything. Just a sequence of images from beyond the consciousness of day to help you let go and drift into dreamland. We were walking near the shore, just after the whale-watching boats had left, and we spotted two orcas playing close by. They were so close, we could practically reach out and touch them. They could have leapt out of the water and dragged us in if they wanted. They were playing, hiding in the murky depths, and then coming up and suddenly appearing again at the surface. It was like watching whales playing hide and seek. A seal emerged from the water and transformed herself into a bear as she walked towards us, shaking the excess water off her fur. And then all of these other animals started turning up. First came a large grizzly, and then some sea lions and a walrus. We even saw a wolverine among the animals that crowded around us to watch the orcas play. It was thrilling and also a little strange, but the animals were there for the same reasons we were. They were curious, and we were just a small part of this unusual furry audience. We didn't dare to pet any of them, though they brushed so closely past us, and some of them were even leaning on us. But petting them would have been intrusive and maybe presuming too much. So we kept our hands to ourselves. Eventually, the orcas swam away, and the crowd of animals dispersed. We were thrilled. What an amazing experience. A small child in a costume keeps curling up to sleep in nooks and crannies, like a cat. We are hiding him from the ogre. The old man would beat the child if he saw him. The king and his arrogant sons will only sit in chairs that they have made themselves, and they will only drink wine that they have made themselves. The fortune teller keeps a drawer full of kittens, and this theater is full of ghosts. Don't put your keys down, or you might bring one of them home with you. We parachuted into the jungle in Central America and ended up swimming with the river dolphins. The river dolphins taught us how to rock surf. Rock surfing up the river is fun. They taught us that standing where two rivers converge is the easiest way to learn how to walk on water. We are in the water. The current is strong. If we let go of our resistance, we will be swept along with all of the others to the shore, far, far to the west of us. If we take both feet off the bottom at the same time, it is like taking huge leaps towards the west. We can't see the bottom, but we can feel that there is something in the water with us. Sometimes it touches our legs. We hope it is not the large predatory dinosaur that we thought we had spotted earlier. It had a long neck and a huge head with very large teeth. We are trying to make our way back. Sometimes it is hard to travel through water. We find ourselves in Cuba. There is music everywhere, and people are smiling and laughing and dancing in the streets. There are small groups of people discussing philosophical ideas, and some groups are having discussions about novels that they have read. How very refreshing this is. And then there is a boy standing right in front of us. He says he is our youngest son. We only have one son, we say. But the boy is insistent. He is a fair-haired boy, wearing very thick glasses, and he wants to know exactly what dimension we are in right now. This is a place where experiments are done. There are two groups of people. Some of us are exploring and following a course, but the others are in an alternate reality. They seem quite content, except that they are behaving like drones. They are going through the same motions and doing the same repetitive tasks over and over again. They ask if we would like to join them. No, thank you, we say. We will just keep on trying to do things differently. This is the story of Ferdinand Franz and how he eventually became king. He had been vying for the crown along with all the rest of them, but he was also content to serve another king, if the right king was chosen. But when the new king was dead, Ferdinand came back to the court to claim the throne for his own. It was a good story, and it was true. Sometimes history can be fascinating. Now we are turning the story into a play. An animated Charlie Brown will be playing Ferdinand. Colin Firth will play the evil uncle who wants him dead. The other Peanuts characters will also all have roles in this play. It is quite something to see the animated characters interacting with the human actors. Charlie Brown is sweet and kind, as he always seemed to be in those cartoons. He isn't acting. He is just Charlie Brown all the time. We're having trouble imagining how this story will be taken seriously, with Charlie Brown playing the lead. Still, he seems to have attracted quite the crowd now gathering outside the theater. And the audience seems completely enthralled by the story. Everyone is hoping that Ferdinand would finally become king, even though there are all these dark forces standing in his way, including all the murderous uncles with ambitions of their own. After the performance, the audience is buzzing. Everyone is talking about how fascinating the story of Ferdinand Franz really was. This show is going to be a great success. We are visiting a shop with all sorts of unusual oddities and things, including handmade crafts and specialty cheeses. Here is a peacock feathered rain stick. It is beautiful. It would make a nice gift. There is even a small waterfall at the back of the shop that turns a mill wheel. The water runs through flumes on the shop floor and outside into a nearby stream. This place is amazing. We are all back at work now, and we are speaking in code. We are all trying to set up clandestine meetings with each other and dancing around the real issues. No one is committing to anything, and some people are even taking notes on the sly. They are cutting the grass in the hallways. Some parts of the hallways are so steep that we feel like we are climbing up the inside of a giant ball or a hamster wheel. We practically need ropes and climbing gear. When we finally make it into our offices, we note with some relief that there are indeed some flat surfaces to work on. The big strange contraption with cameras and blinking lights that is suspended from the office ceiling is making us a little nervous, though. The sun is up, and now that it is past 7, you can get pretty much anything you want. We are heading to the airport, where time is different anyway, and everything is always open. We are in a hurry, because we have left the children alone again. We had better not stay at the airport too long, or we might end up in a different time zone. We are somewhere in the south. We are preparing for a hurricane. But more than that, there seems to be a dangerous curse on the house that we are staying in. Even if we take all the necessary precautions for the hurricane, it may not be enough. Some of us have disappeared already, before the storm has even arrived. Someone handed us a list. The latest entry said that Elena had been found dead upstairs. Who was Elena? She was the red-haired girl. There aren't many of us left, and we are afraid. The wind is picking up outside. It is starting to moan and howl. We are facing away from the direction of the storm, so we will be spared the full force of it. Still, we need to prepare some candles in case the power goes out. And we should all stay together in the center of the house underneath blankets. We find some candles. Do we have any matches? Where is that other girl who passed through the room just a short while ago? That wasn't Elena, was it? A man who we don't recognize joins us. He behaves as though we should know him, and as though he has every right to be there. We are concerned that he might actually be the murderer. We don't trust him at all. The storm finally passes, and we did not lose power. We have been lucky. We go outside to survey the damage, and it is shocking. There are soaking wet, miserable people everywhere, and a lot of bodies. There were a lot of drownings, it seems. They are pulling bodies out of rivers and the sea. We end up in a throng of people down at the beach, but we really need to get back to the cursed house. We love the water, but not like this. Not choked up with all these bodies. We are making our way back. We are barefoot and you have to watch out where you step. It is better walking on wet sand or grass. The worst part is walking on the filthy floors of public buildings. There are so many people preaching at pulpits as we pass. One man is trying to follow us. He seems drunk or somehow addled. He is having trouble keeping his balance anyway. He is a fallen man. We make haste to get away from him, because there is no way he can keep up with us. We finally make it away from the miserable wet crowds and meet those of us who have survived back at the cursed house. An old man came walking down the road. He looked like one of those bearded old-timers living way out, just beyond where all the roads end. He held up a small burlap sack and said someone has lost a cherished bag full of treasures. He wanted to know if it belonged to us, and he gently emptied the contents onto the ground. There were little piles of color slides from a very long time ago, and there were colorful feathers and seashells and fur, and even a handful of tiny teeth that some child must have sold once upon a time. If you close your eyes and focus on the edges of what you can see with your eyes closed, you might be able to see the shadows of death. But don't look into those shadows directly, or you will not be opening your eyes again. Thank you for listening. Sweet dreams.